Hey everyone, and welcome back to another Explainer. I am absolutely thrilled you're tuning in today because we have a really fantastic, super practical topic on deck. If you spent any time working on modern app development, you already know the real magic happens when a beautiful, responsive front end seamlessly connects with a powerful, scalable backend. It's a game changer. So today, we're exploring exactly that by unpacking the source material on how to pair a Flutter front end with a Firebase backend. We're going to break down the exact requirements and objectives this integration takes.
But hey, before we even touch a single line of code or talk about configuration steps, let me ask you this. How do we actually adapt to evolving back-end technologies? It's kind of a massive question, right? I mean, the tech landscape is literally shifting beneath our feet every single day. So what we're really talking about today isn't just a rigid set of instructions. It's about career sustainability. Mastering the integration of modern tools like Firebase into your Flutter apps is how you stay relevant. But as we'll see in our source material, the technical steps, those are really just the beginning of that adaptation process.
Okay, let's dive into this. Section 1. Firebase and Flutter Objectives.
So looking at our foundational learning objective here, it's actually incredibly specific. The whole goal is to familiarize ourselves with the exact steps to set up and configure a Firebase project, add a Cloud Firestore database, and, this is absolutely crucial, implement security. Think of this as your high-level roadmap. It isn't just about, making the app turn on and work, it's about making it work securely and correctly right from the get-go, using Cloud Firestore to handle all your data.
Moving right along, let's hit Section 2, Configuration, Database, and Security. According to our source, mastering this entire setup means you have to follow a really clear sequential flow across 4 main areas. Step 1, you're adding the Firebase and Firestore backend to your environment. Step 2 is configuring that Firebase project so it actually communicates properly with your app. Step 3, which is kind of the fun part, is actually adding the Cloud Firestore database to store and sync your data. And then Step 4, which, let's be real, you can absolutely never treat as an afterthought, is implementing security. Following these 4 steps in exact order, that is the secret sauce to a perfectly architected setup.
All right, Section 3. Connecting the user interface.
Now, in the syllabus we're unpacking today, this critical step of connecting the two sides gets its own little spotlight. Out of all the steps and procedures, it is officially designated simply as task number 9. I kind of love how oddly specific that is. Out of all the configuration headaches a developer might face, this one single point of connection gets isolated right there on the checklist.
So what exactly is the text of task 9? It just reads, to connect Flutter UI with Firebase database. This is the mechanical requirement. It's the bridge. This is that exact moment where your buttons, your text fields, and those dynamic lists in Flutter actually start reading from and writing to the Cloud Firestore database in real time. It's literally the moment your application wakes up and truly becomes interactive.
And this brilliantly illustrates a really fascinating contrast built right into our source material. On one hand, you've got this explicit mechanical task, connect the Flutter UI to the database. But juxtaposed right against that, over under self-learning topics, you are expected to implement robust security measures. That's a proactive, self-directed mandate. The mechanics of connecting the UI are basically handed to you as a task, but making sure user data is completely locked down, that requires you to step up, dive into self-directed learning, and build those robust protections on your own initiative.
Which brings us to Section 4, the lifelong learning mindset.
This whole expectation of self-directed learning really hits at the deeper why behind all these technical steps. Because, let's face it, just memorizing code syntax, that is not going to sustain a career anymore. Our source document actually explicitly tells the learner to recognize the importance of lifelong learning. I find that just incredibly powerful. It's this profound philosophical statement dropped right in the middle of a highly technical, code-heavy syllabus. It's a reminder that sure, learning how to connect Flutter to Firebase today is great, but your true journey as a developer is recognizing that the tech will inevitably change. Your willingness to just keep learning, that's your most valuable professional asset, hands down.
So how does that mindset translate into formal learning outcomes? Well, Learning Outcome 5.1 demands a lot more than just making the code run. It asks the learner to evaluate Firebase, to analyze the source technical info for feasibility and sustainability, and, there it is again, to adapt to evolving back-end technologies. You aren't just blindly building an app, you're stepping back and evaluating, is Firebase actually the right sustainable choice for the long haul?
To make sure you're actually hitting those high-level analytical goals, the syllabus tracks it with some very specific and, let's be honest, very formal-sounding performance indicators. We're looking at PI 3.4.2, 11.1.1, and 11.3.2.
Basically, this is the official metric used to measure that you aren't just writing the integration code, but that you're evaluating Firebase with a critical, forward-thinking, adaptable eye. Let's move to and see how this builds directly into our next core requirement. Learning Outcome 5.2 states, you must verify functionalities and validate the integration of Firebase services. Because think about it, building that bridge between your UI and the database in Task 9, it means absolutely nothing if you can't prove that the bridge is sturdy. You have to verify that it works, validate that the integration is totally flawless, and again, the source explicitly ties this right back to that lifelong learning mindset.
And just like the previous outcome, this gets rigorously tracked. This time it's measured by performance indicators 3.4.3 and, wait, look at that, 11.1.1. Notice how PI 11.1.1 actually appears in both outcomes? That really cements the idea that validating your app's functionality goes completely hand in hand with that continuous, lifelong learning mindset we've been talking about. You build, you test, you learn, and you adapt. It's just a continuous cycle.
So as we wrap up this explainer, I want to leave you with a thought directly inspired by these deeper learning outcomes. Is your technical knowledge actually sustainable enough to adapt to the next back-end evolution? Setting up Firebase with a Flutter UI today is a fantastic, highly sought-after achievement, for sure. But what the source material really wants you to walk away with is that the real victory is building the analytical muscles to evaluate sustainability and the lifelong learning habits to tackle whatever new tech drops tomorrow. Keep pushing those boundaries, keep experimenting with self-learning topics like robust security, and keep building amazing things. Thank you so much for hanging out with me for this explainer, and I can't wait to guide you through our next topic.